بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. If there are any questions from the brothers here on the floor, or the sisters, or anyone online, we'll try to take some of them now in the night time. I think we had some from last night that we didn't get to. It's all right. Khayr, inshallah. If there are no questions, then we'll do Hadithdisciple now.
There's a question.
Fadl. Wa alaikum assalam.
Got some questions on that thing.
Assalamu alaikum. SR from Brooklyn, New York. Is it haram for a Muslim to sell food during fasting hours?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. It's a yes and a no answer with regards to selling food during the fasting hours. It's a yes and no answer, and there are some details which are quite necessary. The first detail is who you're selling the food to. Are you selling the food to Muslim women that are pregnant, breastfeeding, menstruating? Are you selling food or offering food for Muslim men who are traveling, they don't have to fast, etc.? Let's even say, for argument's sake, Muslims that may be in the armed forces, things in which they have to eat, they have to drink, etc., etc. That's one scenario. Or are you selling food to people who are supposed to be fasting? They're supposed to be fasting, whether they're Muslims that aren't fasting, or whether you're selling the food to kuffar, non-Muslims. And then another detail, that's a fork in the road, is the scholars of Islam, they differ on a principle. They differ on a principle. Harun, the ulama of Islam, they differ on principles like they differ on practical things. And this principle is, هل الكفار مخاطبون بفروع الشريعة أم لا? Are the non-Muslims held responsible for the responsibilities of the Muslims? Meaning, we know that they are responsible for being Muslim. Allah is going to ask them on the Day of Judgment, why did you reject me? Why didn't you believe me? Why did you make shirk with me? The only thing I asked you was to single me out in worship. I created you, I fed you, and you refused except to make shirk with me. Clear. But prayer, zakat, haram things, mandatory things, will the kuffar be punished for those things as well in the hereafter? Will they be punished for those things in the hereafter? Or will they only be punished for their kufr, for their disbelief? There's a difference between the two. Everybody clear on this? A world of a difference. A non-Muslim being punished because he was a non-Muslim, and also being punished for eating swine, punished for not fasting, punished for doing this, punished for doing that. Or is it only for their kufr? So if you say that they're responsible, and they're held liable for the furu' sharia, the practical acts of the sharia, then you can't sell them food in Ramadan because they're supposed to be fasting and they're going to be held responsible and punished for fasting. As far as if, based off of the understanding that they're not held responsible for those things and they're only held responsible for believing, accepting Islam, and then once they accept Islam, then they're held responsible for their acts, then that's a different story. That's a different story. And the same applies to selling the flesh of swine, etc., which is a bit different. Whereas the hadith clearly states that when Allah makes something unlawful upon the people, حَرَّمَ عَلَيْهِمْ ثَمَنَهُ, He makes unlawful upon them the profit thereof. The profit thereof. Okay? So what's important is, I would not advise you to have your restaurant open during the daytime hours of the month of Ramadan. Hard to distinct or differentiate, to make a distinction between those who are fasting, non-Muslim, people order, people call. It's difficult. So the safest thing to do is to close your kitchen during the Ramadan hours. It's the safest thing to do. And Allah knows best.
ME from London, UK. Is al-amilun alayha just in the Muslim countries?
Question says, coming from the UK, the amilun alayha, wal-amilina alayha, the people who work to administer the zakat, to distribute the zakat. Is that specific only to the Muslim countries? No. It's going to be specific to the system of zakat. Okay? And oftentimes there's a small mini Muslim country inside of a non-Muslim country. We don't have power to do everything that a country would, but there are certain things that we can do. There is some type of body that the Muslims have, some type of organization that the Muslims have. Okay? So with regards to the zakat being given to certain people, and one of the types of those who can receive zakat are those who administer the zakat. He works for zakat and he also receives a stipend from the zakat. The zakat. But if he receives a formal stipend, then that's a different story. Like a dawah organization. I work for this organization. I get paid monthly or weekly to do whatever. Going out to the streets, giving dawah, taking care of orphans, open up a soup kitchen. We do HIV testing, whatever, drug rehabilitation, whatever community work that you get paid to do. And from that is distributing zakat. His money goes to this one, this food goes to this one, I get that. But if I have a stipend, then that's a different story, the ulama say. If you receive a stipend, then you don't take the zakat. But if you do, or if you don't, then that's a different story. Last but not least, one may receive a stipend and still might not have the ability to fulfill all of his needs. You may have a job, you work, but you still are poor, you still need things. There are many expenses that aren't met. You say, Sheikh, you understand? You have a full-time job, this and that, I need you to do this. It's a reality. It's reality. Allah knows best.
RM from Philly, PA. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Does taking Benadryl break the fast?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Question comes from Philly, PA. Does taking Benadryl break the fast? The people of knowledge, they say that which you eat, that which you swallow, that which goes into your belly breaks the fast. A little bit or a lot, let alone something that actually affects and impacts the body. It causes the body to have some feeling. That's a type of nourishment. That's a type of nourishment, putting you to sleep, invigorating you, whatever the case may be, taking pain away from your body, that which is swallowed. So it does break your fast. If it was a needle that numbed the pain, perhaps that's a different story according to those ulama who say that. But if you swallow anything and it goes into your stomach and dissolves into your bloodstream, you have broken your fast. And Allah knows best. If you're sick, if you're ill, if you need some type of medicine and it's a necessity, you have to break your fast and make up the day. There's no sin in that. There's no sin in that. There's no hardship. And oftentimes, Shaitani plays tricks on people's minds. And it gets people to feel so bad that they harm themselves. A person refuses to take the medicine and then they pass out. Or they crash their car. They have a seizure and fall down the steps. There's so many different ways of going to Jannah. You can go to Jannah by doing this abundantly. You can go to Jannah by doing that abundantly. Pick a lane. Okay? There's no pressure. As far as you can wait, if you can be patient, then that's the best thing to do. If you can take the medicine early or later, then that's the best thing to do. But however, do not harm yourselves. Do not harm yourselves. Do not be so proud in which you refuse to take what Allah has allowed you to take. Wallahu a'lam.
Nuruddin from Birmingham, UK. Salams, may Allah be generous towards you. Should the Qunut be done before or after the ruku'? And should the hands be raised for it?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Barakallahu feek, akhi al-aziz. Nuruddin, nawarakallah bi ta'atihi. Ameen. May Allah bless you and bless all of the Hadith disciples in the lands of Birmingham. Bidnillahi ta'ala, hopefully these things are optional. With regards to making a Qunut before ruku' or after ruku', with regards to raising the hands or keeping them down. Bidnillahi ta'ala, kulluha are optional. If it was up to me, and if you ask me what I think is best and closest to the sunnah, is to make it after the ruku' and to raise the hands. But it's optional. Wallahu alam.
Ali Masoom from Manchester, UK. In one ayah, the sorcerers say, Rabbi Harun wa Musa, and in another it says, Rabbi Musa wa Harun. Which did they say, or did they say both twice?
With regards to the sorcerers of Pharaoh's court, one verse saying, the Lord of Rabbi Musa wa Harun, Rabbi Harun wa Musa, which one did they say? Did they say it more than once, etc.? We have to understand something with regards to the Quran and its sciences. One of the Quranic styles is to preserve the rhythm, to preserve the style, quote unquote melody, to preserve the way that it sounds. Even if something that should come first is mentioned last. Something that should be mentioned first is mentioned last, because it flows like this. An example of this, Allah Azza wa Jalla, He says, وَنَفْسٍ وَمَا سَوَاهَا فَأَلْهَمَهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا وَقَدْ خَابَ مَنْ دَسَّاهَا. Allah says, what is translated to mean, وَنَفْسٍ وَمَا سَوَاهَا. Allah swears by the nafs. That's deep in itself. For Allah to make an oath, for Allah to swear by a nafs. Huh? He swears by it to show you the importance of the soul, of the spirit. It's deep. Allah says, وَنَفْسٍ وَمَا سَوَاهَا, and how He perfected it. Allah, He swears by these things. He then says, فَأَلْهَمَهَا, and He inspired this nafs, فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا, its wickedness and its piety. Its wickedness and its piety. Hypothetically speaking, let alone based off of the understanding of the Quran and Sunnah, what should be mentioned first? Without a question. فَأَلْهَمَهَا تَقْوَاهَا وَفُجُورَهَا. He inspired it with righteousness and piety, and He also gave it the ability to do wickedness. But the surah wouldn't flow the same way if it was mentioned like that. If you said فَأَلْهَمَهَا تَقْوَاهَا وَفُجُورَهَا, because every ayah goes the same. وَالشَّمْسِ وَضُحَاهَا وَالْقَمَرِ إِذَا تَلَاهَا. What's next? Everyone is ha. It's a style, a melody of the recitation. This is from the sciences of the Quran. Everybody learn this? Or another ayah, such as Surah Al-Duha. Allah says, وَالضُّحَى وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا مَا وَدَّعَكَ رَبُّكَ كَ. There's supposed to be another kaf there. The dhamir. مَا وَدَّعَكَ أَنْتَ يا Muhammad. Allah did not do that to you. وَمَا قَلَاكَ. But the kaf isn't mentioned. Why not? It wouldn't what? Wouldn't flow the same. مَا وَدَّعَكَ رَبُّكَ وَمَا قَلَاكَ. No. Every ayah says, وَالضُّحَى وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا سَجَى مَا وَدَّعَكَ رَبُّكَ وَمَا وَلَا. What's next? What's next? رَبُّكَ فَتَرْضَى. With an alif maqsoor at the end. This is from the beauty and the majesty of the Quran. So perhaps that is the interpretation of this. Harun had to be mentioned first, so that what could come last? Musa. And it goes in flow with the previous and coming what? Ayat. Everybody clear on this or not? Everybody understand this? This is brief, a tidbit of the sciences of the Quran and how deep they can go and how amazingly wonderful this Quran is. Everybody clear on this? And there's no way that it could have come from a human being. There's no way it could have come from any man. It's only tanzeel, revelation from Allah Rabbul Alameen. So perhaps that's the secret in this. We know that the story is only mentioned that it happened one time. Did some sorcerers say this and others say that, so on and so forth, more than once? Perhaps. But that what seems clear is that that's the secret behind it. And if you look at the surah in which it's in, the Lord of Harun and Musa, what surah is that from? And what is the style of that surah? And what is the style of the what? Rabbi Musa wa Harun. Two different surahs or two different styles. Taha. Ma anzalna alaykum Qur'ana litashqa illa tadhkiratan tanzilan wa hakadha. And always make sure what? Alif maqsura. Taha. Ma anzalna alaykum Qur'ana litashqa. What's next? Everybody understand this? How it flows. And in other surahs, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ خَاشِعُونَ وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنِ اللَّغْوِ مُعْرِضُونَ وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِلزَّكَاةِ فَاعِلُونَ وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِفُرُوجِهِمْ. It has a wow and a noon at the end of each ayah. How about clearness or not? The styles. Wallahu a'lam.
RM from Philly, PA. Is there a hadith that mentions that the majority of the inhabitants of paradise are women?
Question says, is there a hadith that mentions that the majority of the inhabitants of paradise are women? I don't know of an authentic hadith that says that and mentions that. I don't know of an authentic narration that says that. Allahu Akbar with regards to that. What's important is how Allah Azza wa Jalla made people. What population Or what number is greater? Are there more women in the world or men in the world? And the wisdoms behind that. Talking this morning about polygyny or polygamy. The wisdoms of there being more women, less men. The wisdoms of a woman having a menstruation, becoming pregnant, and a man having no menstruation and no pregnancy. Everybody understand this? And he's not restricted to one situation, whereas a woman is going to be to one situation. There's wisdom. Allah made these things. Allahu A'lam. That's all we'll say with regards to that.
Farheen Asif from New Delhi, India. What are the proper conditions, Sheikh, about covering feet and leaving the bottom of feet?
Question comes from New Delhi, India, with regards to the conditions of covering feet and the bottom of the feet. Perhaps the question is talking about a woman in the Salah. Perhaps the question is speaking on a woman in the Salah. What's important is that it's best, and some say mandatory, for at least the top of the feet to be covered. The top of the feet. And when a woman makes a sujood, or she's in jilsa, or things like this, and the balls of her feet or her heels become exposed, then they say that's something which is beyond her control, and there's nothing wrong with that as long as the top of the feet are covered, because that's the thing that she can control. Let alone the fact that if she had to cover the bottom of her feet in sujood or jilsa, that would mean that her garment would have to be beneath her feet. And how can she stand and sit without tripping and falling? Or when they say she has to wear socks. Everyone doesn't wear socks. It isn't from every culture to wear socks. It isn't agreeable with every climate to wear socks. And this goes to show you the misunderstanding of many people with regards to hijab in the Western countries, in America and in Canada. The hijab does not have to be long enough that it's on the floor. It does not have to drag the floor. It does not have to be 2 or 3 inches on the floor, which becomes dirty. What's important is the feet are covered. If a woman had on a garment and the garment came to her ankles or came to the tops of the insteps of her feet and she had on socks, sufficient. It's done. She has on shoes with no socks and the shoes are above her ankles, you can't see her skin, that's sufficient. That's what's important. So a woman in a salah should cover the top of her feet, the bottom of her feet. If they come out, don't necessarily have to be covered, and Allah knows best. That's in brief.
Abul Hassan from Egypt, Cairo. What are your thoughts on studying at Azhar Sharif and its curriculum compared to Medina? Barakallahu feek.
Assalamu alaikum, Akhil Kareem. Question coming from Cairo, Egypt. What are my thoughts on studying in Azhar University, its curriculum, in comparison to Medina University? As we have explained before, it's not the move, but it's the movement. It's one of the pillars of Hadithdisciple school of thought. It isn't the move, but it is the movement. It ain't about your school or your background or your resume, but it's about how you move. Somebody goes to Egypt, they study in Azhar, they can speak better, they can recite better, they teach classes, they have fiqh, they have fahm, they have ilm. And then someone graduates from Medina with choppy Arabic. Someone graduates from Medina with good Arabic, but they don't teach classes, or they're caught up in this sheikh and this person and this fitna, talking about this one all day, and he's a deviant, so on and so forth, and he wastes himself. He wastes his life. You spent 7 years, 8 years out of your life, you came back to America. What change did you make? What impact did you make in your community, except for fitna? It's not about the move, it's about the what? The movement. So hypothetically speaking, let's say that the curriculum in Medina is better, it's stronger, it's purer, but it doesn't mean that the one who graduated from that curriculum is going to teach the pure way to his people. And someone, hypothetically speaking, graduated from Azhar, in which the curriculum is inferior, hypothetically we said, only what? Only hypothetically. And it's tainted, this Ash'ari Aqidah, this Bid'ah, so on and so forth is there in Egypt, and he comes back, and he's upon the way of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. He says, I went to Egypt, I never believed in none of that crazy stuff. I never practiced none of those bid'ah. I have the aqidah of Ahl Sunnah with Allah's attributes with regards to the rest of the deen. I'm Kitab and Sunnah, but that's where I was educated. And he teaches Bukhari, he teaches this book, he explains this tafsir, he helps his people. Medina doesn't mean anything, because it's not about the move. It's only about the what? The movement. Assume what? Formlessness. Don't get stuck in one shape and one form. If you go to Egypt and you benefit and you learn and you teach that, alhamdulillah. If you go to Medina, you benefit, you learn and you teach that, alhamdulillah. The problem lies in what student of knowledge it is. Someone who's gullible, someone who's naive, someone who can easily be tricked and duped, and he goes there and he sucks up everything that his teachers say to him. And he comes back messed up. And the same can happen in Medina. But obviously, the religious, the political, the economic, and the social life in Saudi is night and day in Egypt. It's different. It's different. All the Arab countries have their ups and downs. So I know brothers that have studied in Egypt. Let's say brothers in Minnesota, Somali brothers. One brother, perhaps he won't get upset by me mentioning his name. Okay? Well, maybe I won't mention his name. He's a young Somali brother. He went to Egypt. He wasn't even in the college yet. He was still studying to get into the college because it's very strict and rigid conditions for getting into the college. This guy was sharp as a razor blade, mashallah. His Arabic, his Quran, his akhlaq, his aqidah. He was a beautiful brother. And I would take him and prefer him over 20 other people that graduated from Medina. So it's not about the person or it's not about the move, it's about the movement. Okay? So therefore, to compare Medina to Azhar, which curriculum is better, which curriculum is stronger, I can't say that. Certain things I say for sure are stronger in Azhar, no question. And there's certain things that I can say that are stronger in Medina, without a question. And then there are other things which are relative, which are comparative, from person to person, subjective. And most importantly, as one of my teachers told me, when I graduated the bachelor's, I was going into the master's program, I said, what section should I go to, Sheikh? Which department should I do? He said, and this is a golden rule that he gave me, he says, طالب العلم سينتج حيثما كان. He said, the student of knowledge will produce wherever he goes. The student of knowledge will produce wherever he goes, meaning the real student of knowledge. If you have your head screwed down tightly on your shoulders, if you're sincere, if you're hard-working, mujtahid, if you're patient and humble, you're going to benefit no matter wherever you go. You go to Egypt, you go to Malaysia, you go to South Africa, you're in New York City, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. You're going to benefit. And a lazy student of knowledge, a wannabe, an imitator, a pretender, an imposter, or someone that really isn't humble, really isn't hardworking, someone that doesn't scrape their knuckles on the ground and work hard, he's going to get minimum benefit even if he's in a gold mine. Even if he's in a gold mine, he's only going to come out with a nugget. He's only going to come out with a little bit of gold. You can be in the lands of the ulama, sitting with the ulama every day. We saw this, brothers, with the ulama, with the mashayikh, driving them around, taking them around. Have personal relationship with the mashayikh. He doesn't know anything. He doesn't know ilm, no fiqh. Anyway, somebody who comes only once a night, sits, and he's learned and taken the legacy of that shit. And most importantly, he gives dawah, and he teaches, and he spends from what he has amassed. This is the most important thing, and this is the true nature of seeking him. And not to get caught up in a place. And it's not just Egypt and Medina. The same applies to Yemen. We're going to say the truth, no matter who likes it or not. It's the best place to study in the world. There's no place like this in the whole dunya. This is the only place in which there's a sunnah. This is the only place. What is this speech? What is this speech? How many people you know who went to Yemen and came back? What have they done? What have they produced? What have they given? Who have they taught? Who have they trained and cultivated? And there are brothers who went to other places. They may not have been as prestigious or solid or orthodox as certain places in Yemen. And they did wonders because it isn't about the place or the location, but it's about what you do with that knowledge. And be far from bigotry and fanaticism. Do not be a bigot for Medina. Medina. That's it. That's it. It's only about the match. That's it. What is this fanaticism? The Prophet ﷺ, what did he say when he heard the companions fighting and arguing? They got into an argument. One man said, Ya lil muhajirin. Oh, the muhajirin. What are the virtue of the muhajirin? What end did the muhajirin have? The muhajirin were better than the Ansar. They did both. They left their homes and they did nusra in Medina. And another man said, Ya lil ansar. He says, the Ansaris. The Prophet ﷺ, what did he say? He said, Adaw al-jahiliyyati wa ana bayna adhurikum. He says, is this the call of Jahiliyyah? And I'm in your presence? Are you serious? You going back to Jahiliyyah? This group, that group, this place, this location, this people, those people? He says, Da'uha, فَإِنَّهَا مُنْتِنَا. He says, get rid of it right now because it stinks. Get rid of it because it stinks. Don't be a fanatic and a bigot for no school, or for no country, or for no sheikh. There's benefit wherever you go. There's knowledge, there's virtue in this place, just like there's knowledge and virtue what? In that place. And if you want to get technical, many teachers in the Islamic University of Medina came from Azhar. They came from Azhar in the 60s and the 70s. They were Azharis. Many of them established the curriculum and did things in Medina. Huh? And it doesn't mean that everyone has to agree on every single point. It doesn't mean that every Muslim has to agree on every single mas'ala, every issue. It doesn't mean that. Where does this thinking come from? Where does it come from? It doesn't mean that. Respect what's there. This is your way. I don't say that. I don't choose to go there, but I respect it. Huh? That's the correct way. Allah knows best.
Nuruddin from Birmingham, UK. May Allah elevate your status. What are some of the subjects studied in the faculties of Usul al-Din and Sharia in the IUM?
Barakallahu feek, akhi kareem. What are some of the subjects that are studied in the Islamic University of Medina and the faculties of Sharia and the faculties of Usul al-Din? First and foremost, I never studied in those faculties, so I can't give you an in-depth description of those faculties. I only studied in the College of Hadith. As far as what I do know, because I had friends, colleagues, even teachers from those other schools, then of course there are shared subjects that everyone has to study, such as Sirah or Al-Farad, rules of inheritance, fiqh. Everyone studies comparative fiqh there. Everyone has Tawheed and Iman. Those are subjects that everyone studies. And then of course there are major topics or major things that you major in that are specific to the school. All right. So let's say, for example, the shared topics, you may study more of them in other colleges. In Hadith college, you may only have one semester of Sirah. And in the College of Dawah and Usul al-Din, you may have several semesters to give you more in depth. In Hadith, you may only have one semester of Fara'id, of the rules of inheritance. And in Sharia college, you may have 2 semesters or 3 semesters. It's more in depth. So every college has its pros and has its cons. There are certain things that are specific to this college or faculty. And then there are things which are shared among all of the colleges or the faculties of the university. And it goes to prove and to show the validity of the previous point. That there is no one place that has everything. There is no one institution that can give you everything at its best. There are superstores, yes, in which you can find pretty much everything. But it isn't a store in which the connoisseur shops. Abu Saeed? You can find a general thing, some general ink at Walmart. I don't know what they have in the UK, Canada attire, right? Things like this. But an ink connoisseur, he has to go to where? I don't know. Not even Staples, live. Not online. He may have to order it from Poland. A specific place to get something specific. But the general ink, they can offer you, along with paper, along with this, along with that. So there's no one place that gives you everything at its optimum premium level. Even if it's a superstore, but certain things are going to have to be what? Basic and generic. Everybody understand this? So that's knowledge. So you learn in the College of Hadith, and that doesn't mean that you're weak in Sirah or Aqidah or Lugha or Quran. It doesn't mean that. But that's your focus. And most importantly, the college was designed for people to work together. You go and you ask a sheikh a question in Medina, he may answer the question, or he may say, go ask this teacher. That's his field. Go ask this sheikh. He specializes in that. One of my teachers, whose name I won't mention, is well known to you, is very fond of Ibn Qayyim. Wa alaykum as-salam. Alhamdulillah, is known in our classes. We also mention Qunut Ibn Qayyim all of the time. It's something I can take pride in. One of the few things. We always try to mention Ibn Qayyim's speech. So, this teacher, he said, I was looking for something. A statement that I heard that Ibn Qayyim supposedly made. Something that was attributed to Ibn Qayyim, some beautiful speech. So he said, I researched, I kept looking and looking. And I had difficulty finding it in his books. He says, so I called Fulan, such and such. And this person, like Muslim in Medina, he has a reputation for being an Ibn Qayyim specialist. An Ibn Qayyim specialist. He may read 8 hours out the day. Just Ibn Qayyim Ibn Taymiyyah's words. He said, I called him on the phone. I told him what Ibn Qayyim supposedly had said. He said, la. He says, Ibn Qayyim never said that. He says, I stopped searching for it. I didn't look anymore. After he said it, what? You're not going to find it. Everyone understand this? Because that's the only thing that he what? Well, how can that? So therefore, he cooperates with the other. And he cooperates with the faqih, and the faqih cooperates with the qari, and the qari cooperates with the muhaddith, the scholar of hadith, and the scholar of hadith cooperates with the economist. Well, how can that? And then there's a body. And that's how the students of knowledge are supposed to be in their countries. They're not supposed to be scattered. I'm not supposed to be teaching all of these classes and leading the salah and doing this job. No, it's supposed to be other students helping out. He has a better voice in the Quran, so you lead the salah. I only lead the salah because I have to. If it wasn't for me, I wouldn't lead the salah. If it wasn't for me, I wouldn't have to do the talk and the speech every day, every week. Students of knowledge are supposed to work together. They're supposed to cooperate, and that's a complete body, a complete system. Huh? And Allah knows best.
MZU from Birmingham, UK. Is it allowed to assist the police of a non-Muslim country in one's job? And if so, to what extent?
Question is regarding assisting non-Muslim police or police in a non-Muslim country, and to what extent. I don't see the difference between this and between a Muslim country. Oftentimes people, they split things up, they belong together. As one question was posed to Mufti Q&A, what's the ruling of listening to music in the West? That was the question. What's the ruling on listening to music in the West? Listening to music in the West is no different than what? Listening to music in the East. Okay? And it's not smart, nor is it accurate to just demonize the West. There are many things that we do here, they do what? The same thing there. Or some people say divorce. There's so much divorce in the West. Divorce is rampant where? In the East. Every 9 minutes they say a woman is divorced in Egypt. Every 9 minutes. And that country is where? In the East. So it's not just about West, East, huh? So you may be in a Muslim country or Arab country in which the police force is doing something which is against Allah and His Messenger. In which the police force is doing something against the Quran and Sunnah. You can't cooperate with them upon that. And the same applies to what? To here. So that's the Dawit al-Kulli. That's the main rule, is that as long as it's not against the Quran and the Sunnah, inshallah ta'ala. If it's something that is pertaining to your community, your society, someone is a murderer, a criminal who's causing chaos, that's one thing. But be careful. Anytime you have law enforcement, anytime you have a military force, an army of non-Muslims, or even Muslims, but specifically non-Muslims, be careful. Be careful, huh? Be very cautious. Because they have their ulterior motives and their agendas as well. And once you sit down with someone and have a cup of coffee, don't think that's going to be the last time they're going to want you to what? Drink coffee with you. Be careful. Allahu Alam.
HM from Toronto, Canada. Is it permissible to use contraceptives purely for the sole purpose of poverty?
The question says, is it permissible to use contraceptives purely and solely for the reason or the poverty? The person is poor. I would say it should only be temporary. Temporary. A person may get married and they be in a tough situation. A tough situation in which they need to plan it out if you have a baby. And in life, you can make as many plans as you like. What Allah decrees is going to happen. What Allah wills is going to take place. No matter what you plan, no matter how you want it to go, Allah is going to make it go the way He wants it to go. So you try to plan it out. I don't mind having a child. We're going to struggle. It's going to be difficult. But right now, it's really, really difficult. Where I live, my this and that, I'm kidding. But to say I'm never ever going to have kids because I'm poor, that's something that should not be done. And perhaps you having a child is a means of you getting provided for. Perhaps you getting married is a means of Allah providing for you, if you only but knew. If you what? If you only but knew. So the concept of contraceptive is permissible, and it's not the same as abortion, in which a woman has already conceived the child. That's a different story. Killing the child after it's born because of poverty. That's what's mentioned in the Quran that the pagans used to do. That doesn't mean that it's haram to use contraceptives. Whatever the contraceptive means is. Spermicide, latex condoms, withdrawal, etc. But know for sure you can do whatever you want. And if Allah wills for that woman to get pregnant, she will get pregnant. As the Hadith says. If Allah wishes to create a walad, you can't stop it. So make dua to Allah Azza wa Jalla to increase your wealth and to give you sufficiency, and also do what you can to obtain the practical means of getting the Lord's sustenance through training, through education, through apprenticeship, through being around the Muslims and saying, I need a job. Is anyone hiring? I'm a plumber. I have this skill. I have this ability. What happened to that? What happened to that? Allah knows best, huh? What happened to that, huh? I believe this is all the time we have tonight.
We could take.
A couple more? Hold on.
Yeah, let's see. Ibrahim Ali from Sheffield, UK. What is
also,
your
brothers, if there are any questions here, for the people here, feel free. Don't be shy or embarrassed. If you have a question, you can ask questions here. And if not, then we'll take the questions from online.
One question.
Photo.
Can you provide iftar for someone who has been deceased as sadaqah jariyah for them?
Question says, can you provide iftar for someone who is deceased as sadaqah or sadaqah jariyah for them? There's nothing wrong with giving sadaqah on the behalf of a Muslim. So if it costs $500 or $1,000 to provide sadaqah for this masjid or these group of brothers, and you spend it on behalf of this deceased Muslim, then bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, perhaps that's a sadaqah on their behalf. But that's not necessarily sadaqah jariyah. Sadaqah jariyah is different. Sadaqah jariyah is something like building a school, and which is keeps on moving. The Muslims, they eat food, they drink, and that's it. It's not jariyah, it doesn't continue. It's a bit different. Allah knows best.
Ibrahim Ali from Sheffield, UK. What is your favorite scholar of Hadith?
Question says, what is your favorite scholar of Hadith? That's a very difficult question. Extremely difficult question. Yani, scholar of Hadith, present, past, contemporary, etc. That's a very difficult question. Very difficult question. And oftentimes, we always talk about the old days, the old school, the classic days. It's hard to pick out one. There's too many greats. From them, Imam al-Bukhari, Ali ibn al-Madini, Imam al-Tirmidhi, Imam Ahmad, Tabar, ulama like this. Imam Muslim, from the earlier generations. And Allah knows best.
AA from McKinney, Texas. Is the hadith that says that the Ummah will split into 73 sects and those being saved are those who are on the way of the Salaf weak?
How much time we have before the event?
We have 4 minutes.
Time. Inshallah, we'll take this question. And please remind me, this is an important question, a very important question. We will take this, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, on Saturday. Brother or sister, please make sure that you tune into the live stream on Saturday at 7:15, and we will take this question and answer the question bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Because there's not enough time. This answer has some necessary details. Wallahu a'lam. وعليكم السلام. طيب.